From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, December 23rd, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.26 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,073 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $442. Antiwar.com reports UN Human Rights Chief Zeid Ra'ad al-Hussein addressed the Security Council on Tuesday and warned that Saudi Arabia seems to be disproportionately responsible for civilian deaths in the ongoing Yemen war, a 9-month conflict that led to enormous civilian casualties. Saudi Arabia began airstrikes against Yemen back in March and has repeatedly faced reports from human rights groups of enormous civilian death tolls in airstrikes against residential areas. During the UN General Assembly, however, Saudi officials managed to block efforts to investigate the killings, rather getting the UN to empower them to investigate themselves. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, told reporters that the U.S. has been urging Saudi Arabia to ensure lawful and discriminate targeting, though this has not stopped the U.S. from providing much of the weaponry used in the strikes and to help coordinate the war. The Saudi war has from the start been faulted for its horrendous impact on human rights, which has included not just airstrikes on populated areas, but also a full naval blockade of Yemen, which has brought food imports to the nation, which historically has had to import 90% of its food, has been brought to a comparative halt. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports 2 Venezuelan businessmen who live in the United States were recently arrested on charges of bribing officials of Venezuela's government-owned PDVSA oil company in a scheme worth more than $1 billion. Roberto Rincon Fernandez and Abraham Sierra were arrested Wednesday. Court documents released on Monday indicate the men were charged with wire fraud, conspiring to launder money, and violating the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which prohibits American businesses or individuals from bribing government officials in other countries to obtain business. Rincon Fernandez was held without bail because there is a serious risk that he will flee and because he has significant assets which could fund a fugitive lifestyle. The court document states that Rincon Fernandez has lived in the Houston area for about 10 years and owns a home worth $5 million, also owning homes in Spain and Aruba. Rincon Fernandez was arrested in Texas and has pled not guilty. Sciarra, who lives in Florida and was arrested there, has not yet entered a plea. If you're fed up with the government running every aspect of your life, but you're not listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet, what's wrong with you? Go right now to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen, or just go back to sucking up to the government. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Reuters reports Kentucky's new governor on Tuesday ordered county clerks' names removed from state marriage license forms at the center of a controversy involving Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis, who was jailed earlier in the year after refusing to issue state marriage licenses. Governor Matt Bevin had said shortly after his election in November, as only the second Republican governor of Kentucky since 1971, that he would change the forms that had drawn objection from Davis and some other clerks. It was unclear what effect Bevin's executive order would have on the case of Davis, who made Kentucky a focal point in the debate over same-sex marriage in the United States when she refused to issue any marriage licenses, even after the U.S. Supreme Court in June made same-sex marriage legal across the United States. Davis took steps to remove her name and office from the forms after she was released, and a deputy clerk had issued licenses since she was jailed in early September. Former Governor Beshear has said he had no authority to relieve county clerks of their statutory duties by executive order, and that the state legislature could address the issue. Governor Bevin also rescinded Beshear's recent order restoring voting rights to most felons in the state. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.